Good morning to you. Welcome to a tertiary world. Today I'm reading the last few memories that arose in 2008 as I walked along Brunswick Street as part of a grid of 14 streets that I walked that autumn. Brunswick Street is the 7th of 7 north-south streets, and its colour is violet. I noted the first 7 memories that arose. This is the 5th. Its colour is blue. 348 Brunswick Street. I peered through the window one night. Brunswick Street deserted. I saw the neon sign lying in a corner lifelessly. The next day I called the owner and made him an offer. I went to pick it up a week or so later. Carrying it in my arms to the car, it felt like a fragile child, ill with a high fever. I had never understood the name, but its multicoloured shape had over many years taken on its own persona. Having seen it unlit and lying in fragments in the dark, I determined to take it home and nurse it back to health, or at least give it a proper burial. When I got home, I carefully placed it on an upstairs table. A few days later, the yellow A was shattered when someone in my absence had decided to move it. But what had actually shattered? Was it an arm, a leg, perhaps a wrist? Gregor Samsa wakes to the nightmare, and soon his limbs cannot carry the weight of the new life. That's what happened to the A, I'm sure. It simply couldn't find proper freedom of movement, stuck as it was between the R and the first L. It could not bear to not be a light, nor to shed light on the small space immediately around itself the way it had on the ceiling, in the way it had shed its pale, yellowish light into the world for so long. And of course, the moment we realize we are no longer useful in the way we have been is the moment we break. "141 Brunswick Street. Its colour is indigo. From the roof above the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence, the city seems touchable. An intricate series of corridors on the top floor leads to the stairs that take you there. But why am I thinking of this? Of Madeleine Ben, of her mother Connie, of her father, the Welsh psychiatrist? It's to do with the Brotherhood, and perhaps the name Lawrence underscores the wreath-like quality of my feelings. The building has always seemed to weigh heavily upon anything inside it, even upon the discarded chairs, the grey threadbare suits still smelling of naphthalene, the faded colours of the toys. Oh, and don't forget the aerials, all those TV antennas stacked in the corner like skeletons retrieved from some faraway ossuary. Still receiving signals, no doubt, still in touch with the source of endless former transmissions. The colour of this memory is violet. It's the last of Brunswick Street, the Fitzroy football ground, Brunswick Street Oval. So many dark winter evenings spent here, just Ulysses and me kicking the ball around, playing one-on-one until everyone else arrives, and sometimes no one does. So many millimetre-perfect passes threaded through muddy feet. The poetry of it not lost for an instant, and yet suddenly lost forever. And then the punch that comes from nowhere that sits me down in the mud, though I never feel anything other than an amused primal surprise. And the ritual apology and the shaking of the hands the following week. Opportunities desperately looked for by both of us to overturn a verdict in other ways, legitimately, with the ball at one's feet, with one's brain working feverishly to coordinate everything, legs, wind, clouds, anything other than the ball, because eventually it just rolls through the only space left clear, the only one remaining unguarded through our focusing attention everywhere else, anywhere except where, as if by magic, the gap suddenly appears. And all you can do is smile at its unpredictability, its refusal to be owned by anyone or anything, by any ideology, by any theory, or even by an irresistible physical strength. We have plenty of evidence for that, don't we? Later, sitting in a driver's seat with mud and sweat caked over every bit of exposed skin, you just stare fixedly at the bit of turf where the magic briefly appeared. It's empty now, though still brightly lit by the floodlights, as if to tell you unsmilingly, yes, it happened, just here, and you better look at it hard. You better remember it well, because who knows if it will ever happen again. And it never does happen again. Ever. Only as a very faint echo as I read these words. I can barely make an image from the feelings that arise. Tomorrow I begin with the first of 7 east-west streets, Victoria Street. This street is red, as the first of 7 streets, and the first memory is of the corner of Victoria and William Street. Goodbye, north-south streets. Until tomorrow.